Hi, it's Tom Childers. I'm back, and what I wanted to do was to check myself when I was going too deep into the weeds with hating on Marxism and communism, because it's despicable and it has like the worst score in in the record books of the 20th century, and we don't care about that at all. So that's the reason why I went that way. But I don't even recognize those things. But in communism and Marxism, they have a lot of things and understanding of the world that are right. Like they understand that people split up into classes, that the division of labor and the division of industry and into artisans and craftsmen and industrial workers and agricultural peasants and the middle managers and the elites. All of that actually happens. They're right, and then we end up waging cultural conflicts against each other, and oftentimes, including now, the best things to do is to educate yourself and seize power. And so there's an awful lot that's not just true but commendable of the people who are trying to solve their problems by adopting Marxist and communist practices. But the devil's in the details, and the model that they use to as their goal, or the storyline and the central motivating arc that drives their motivation and that captures the imaginations of their followers and supporters, it is not pretty, and it is not a positive process. It also doesn't lead to good places, and the experience of participating in it is less than honorable, and so there's a lot of draw to lash out and to be one of the bad guys. I mean, it's I know, mischief night. I mean, it's I wanted to riot so many times. We used to riot at Penn State for when we would win basketball games. It's I get it. The problem is that you can't be let to win because we all lose. And so we have to check ourselves. Communism isn't just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's the name of a social framework in which it ends up being, without any excuses or internal restraints to stop the process going downhill as fast as it possibly can. That's the point of it, is to break and destroy and tear down each and every institutional entity that would stop the process of self-destruction as fast as possible, because it's basically the abolition of property rights, of individual rights, and it's the entire ethos is set upon the goals of an entity that doesn't exist except for in the imaginations of the leaders. And so the people who support and follow Marxism and communism, it's an atheistic, it's a secular like position or like way of living and aligning, and they actually fall. They end up fall for the most preposterous version of the secret tome. You know, like reading out the message from, you know, the other world, the other side, out of the hat, and you know, like, well, can we see it? Like, no. Well, I'll tell you what. Like, I would love to show you, but it's only visible by me. And you know, then the Book of Mormon and like the Santa Claus Christian, you know, piss Jesus guys, like they make fun of all that. But at the same time, their version of what the world's supposed to be cannot be understood. It's not even attempted to be understood by anyone except for that he who wrests power from the hands of the person before. And you know, it's not a coincidence that in a coup, when communism takes over a land, the first people to go is all the people that came up with them. It's the exact inverse of what bringing people up with you is all about, because those are your competition to actually execute power, and they know your thought process and your weakness, and they got like the ins of who you are, so that they can play that against you. And once you're in a game of control and power, you know, knowledge is power. Most certainly in this far corner of the confluence between knowledge and power. That's where knowledge is power. Like the people that talk about that the world is Marxism, you know, Marxist world, they know that knowledge is power in their hands, because they're seeking to use their knowledge as power against you. To many other people, knowledge is not so much power. Like, power has to do with, you know, how reasonable you are. Like, reasoning through conflicts. And understanding the truth of the circumstances. Like, the truth as the sun sheds light onto the situation. You know, there's the conflicts that have caused problems, and they need to be undone in order to grow. You know, there's those sacred truths that we hold to be self-evident, that have been passed down from our ancestors and celebrated and worshipped as useful, as what, you know, I postponed talking about this, but the word worship sounds silly to us because we're nihilistic, but it's the mechanism of idea which you use. It's like, wow, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but it's not a horror shit. You know, it's like what carries what you use. I mean, we should say respect or something, or honor.